Hey guys, Bita is here again. Okay guys, before anything else, I just want to say thank you that you're here and please help me by subscribing it and share it with your friends. You might be wondering what dating in Korea is like. If so, I've got you covered. Okay guys, I'm gonna tell you what to expect along with some do's and don'ts. And let's make sure that your romantic life is a success. Okay, so what I'm gonna talk about is the dating culture in South Korea. Okay guys, so you have found yourself in South Korea. Everything is going great. You're intending to stay for a while there. You've been looking for friends and now you think that you need a romantic relationship. As you've already heard that dating culture in Korea is quite different from what you're used to do back home. And it's especially true when you came from, for example, another country outside of Asia. Maybe you're curious and want to get more information about, for example, that cute girl in that cafe or that hunky boy in a bookstore, so you're up to date on Korean culture. After all, Korea does have some kind of rules for dating, but it doesn't mean that foreigners must run away from dating. Instead, they're just gonna have even more fun. How do people meet each other in Korea? Just like in every other country, there's so many ways you could come across your bae. They could be your classmates or your co-workers. They could be someone you met while out in a bar bringing in a weekend. Or someone you met through a language exchange. Or perhaps your love story begins when you two ran into each other and accidentally they spilled the coffee all over you. There's a common way of forming a relationship in Korea, which is called sogeting, and it is meeting through a friend. The downside of this sometimes is that you cannot be too sure that how much the possibility of the compatibility of your two has been considered and has been thought out, beside the fact that you are both single. However, if you're single and you're ready to be mingled, so don't be scared to ask your friends to set you up. Even if it amounts nothing, it'll be a fun experience, so give it a try. Perhaps you will make a new friend or you have another familiar face in order to, for example, say hi when you're out the town. Who foots the bill? Now that you have met someone and you seem to be mutually interested in, now it's time to go out on a date. Okay, so you've both dressed very nice. And it is also custom in Korea, at least for the first few dates, if you want to impress someone really very much. And you've actually planned some fun and cute activities for the date. But right before the start of the date, or perhaps during it, you left wondering, who pays? Although the times are changing, and especially the younger or school-going folks, when they're in their 20s, they tend to split the bills, especially in the restaurants, but it is still an unspoken custom in Korea that the man should pay on a first date. In some instances, especially on a first date, the man pay for the whole lot of it, and while on the others, the man, for example, pay for the first round, the girl the next, and so on. As you get to know each other better and becoming an official item, the paying should even itself out. How affectionate can we be in public? You'll likely want to save your steamy makeout sessions or the like for the private, or else you'll find an ajumma and raising a swarm on you. Everywhere in South Korea, especially in Seoul, you can see a lot of couples holding their hands, having their arms around each other, and some of them even daring to share small packs. And sometimes you can see that, I mean, it's not really strange, you can see that a lot of couples are squeezing their pimples and whatnot. In ways, it's a lot less steamy than what you might see in public in Europe or the United States. But simultaneously, the couples in South Korea are much more in your face, and they're obvious about their relationship status in public. But what about the rules of communication there? In the West, you might have heard of that 3-day rule after dating, but you've made a grave mistake if you think that it applies in South Korea. Because in Korea, it may take as a disinterest if you do not react after the dating. For example, if you don't text a message that, for example, you had a good time or you had a good night with them. They might not be the most riveting conversations, but it's really important, for example, to show that you care through asking some questions, for example, whether they've eaten or not, or did they get home safe, and so on. On the flip side, if, for example, someone is not texting you that much or texts you sometimes, it may or may not be a sign of actually disinterest. Maybe he's or she's that kind of person that, for example, they don't want to leave on their phones and they just want to, for example, have conversations with you face to face. However, if a person you've been meeting for a long time, they've, for example, drastically text you less, it is actually a sign that they just want to cut with you, but, for example, they cannot do it because they maybe have this fear of hurting you because of those feelings. And in the end, instead of jumping into the worst conclusion, for example, you can ask your partner that what is the problem, or we can solve the problem, or you can discuss about it. Maybe it was best for you to, for example, cut that relationship. It is also normal to act like a ghost sometimes. It means that to cease contact without any explanation. It is completely normal. Of course, at the beginning stages of dating, when the interest happens to fizzle. Are there any other peculiar aspects to dating in Korea? The peculiarities of Korea's dating culture don't quite end there. One part of the local dating culture that you may find especially fun or especially annoying are all the things couples do together. Unlike in the West, that they have just one Valentine's Day for the couples, Koreans have a lot of additional couple holidays, for example, a White Day, Pepera Day, and even Christmas. On top of this is the 14th of every month that it is actually a holiday for couples with a specific theme for each month. Another aspect that could be fun for you to experience are all the couples items, from rings to shoes to whole outfits for couple looks. It's up to you and your partner to decide how subtle or wild you want to get with this. All in all, I hope and I expect you to have fun if you choose to date while living in Korea. There are so many great things that you can experience by having a partner in Korea. However, this is my slogan that your life can be very fun and fulfilling and perfect even without one. If you have any experience by dating in Korea or you have some tips that you know about them, please share with me. 정말 감사합니다.